You know, it's funny because I was recently criticising Trump for saying that the USA and allies should stay occupying the Middle East for Israel and Saudi Arabia, and now troops are going to be withdrawn from Syria and Afghanistan. Not all of them, probably, and I'm not terribly convinced he couldn't have done this earlier, but it is at least something. Trump knows that he's going to have to start rallying his base for re-election over this new year, and I think he's finally starting to really push for his campaign promises, or at least wants to appear to be after stalling for so long. I wouldn't draw any confidence from that, especially not after he spent all the time up to now disappointing me and a great deal of his voters, but at least it's theoretically the start of something close to what he campaigned on. I think from now on I'm going to stop trying to predict Trump on the fly because I'm terrible at it. And that's because of his haphazard nature. He thinks on his feet and takes twists and turns as he goes. I don't think anyone seriously believes he's a genius engaging in three-dimensional chess anymore, but if he doesn't know what he's going to do next month, neither will anyone else. The interesting thing is the consequences of withdrawing from Syria. I've long been in favour of the idea that the least bad actor in that situation that has a ghost chance of restoring order is Bashar al-Assad, and I've long criticised the idea that the FSA or the Kurds were a viable alternative in the face of ISIS. So if we're no longer hindering Assad and their Russian allies, then that's good to me. And you can call me a Kremlin shill all you like, but I don't believe this out of any real general support for Putin. I believe this because this is what will benefit the West in the long run as well. That all said, withdrawing out of the chaotic situation can be just as chaotic as staying in the short run, or perhaps even more so, which may be the thing that entices a reverse course in the end. Trump is definitely sensitive to things going wrong. It seems that there's a belief that the Turks may be ready to swoop in and fight their old enemies, the Kurds in Syria. Now you have age-old anti-imperialists like Noam Chomsky cravenly calling for the USA to stay and protect the Kurds. The ideal of humanitarian intervention to stop a genocide in progress is a good one, assuming one's going to happen, but I'm suspicious of the idea that the West can fight everyone else's battles for them, when our track record is so bad. If anyone wants us to save the Middle East from itself, then at the very least they should come up with a totally new plan on how to do so, because just doing the same thing we've always done simply hasn't worked. It's brought chaos to the region, and far from making us safer has incited terrorism and mass migration. Trump has gone back to his old campaign slogans, sounding very like a Noam Chomsky from a previous life. He recently remarked that the age of America being the world's policeman is over. Given the conflict between these statements and his approach to the Israel-Saudi Arabia-Iran triad, I can hardly take it too seriously. With Trump you have to make a personal decision about which of his contradictory statements are true. I remain black-pilled. I think that the power vacuum will always draw the USA back in. The Turks may attack the Kurds, or this group may attack this group, and the same people calling for it will always eventually claim they were always against it. The West has to intervene because if it doesn't, Russia and China will, even if we don't have a clue what we are doing. At this point, I'd rather leave them in their mess, and if Russia and China get imperial ambitions in the region, they won't benefit any more than we have. But that's long-term thinking, not short-term thinking. If America and its tributary states, us lot, are going to remain the world's policemen, can we at least stop being so schizophrenic about it? If you want to be an empire, then openly declare it. At least then the left foot will know what the right foot is doing.